Queen Elizabeth's childhood is nothing out of a fairy tale. Her father often banished her and abandoned her in her palace. She was also sent to the Tower of London by her sister and feared for her life. We begin our story with her grandfather, Henry VII, who ruled England and founded the Tudor dynasty. Her father, King Henry VIII, is most famous for his 6 wives: Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, James Seymour, Hugues Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. James Seymour was able to give Henry what all of his other wives were unable to produce: a male heir. His name is King Edward VII. He ruled England from the age of 9 to the age of 16, where he then died, and passed the throne on to Lady Jane Grey. However, Lady Jane Grey only ruled for a total of 9 days. She was then overthrown by Elizabeth's sister, Mary I, who ruled for the total of 9 years until her passing in 1558. She passed the throne on to her sister, Elizabeth I, who had to face many trials to get to the throne. One of the trials being that she was sent to the Tower by her sister. Mary was paranoid that the followers of Elizabeth would overthrow her, as she was able to do to Jane Grey, and locked Elizabeth in the tower. She was then fearing for her life, for her mother was sent to the tower and was never able to exit, for she had died by a blade to the neck, a beheading. Father ordered the beheading because he tired of his wife after producing a female heir, even though many predicted it would be male. He tried twice more to produce a male heir, and successfully created a male heir. However, the male heir was stillborn, and he quickly was enraged by Anne and threw her into the Tower of London on an act of treason. From then on, Anne lived out her days and watched and waited until the final court ruled that she would be beheaded and die. Jane Seymour then replaced Anne Boleyn, and Elizabeth remained a reminder to Henry of her mother. It is said that she would often be banished from court for months on end to years, and she would often be given a low allowance to almost no allowance for months on end. She had to live a life of a countrywoman and had to survive on the kindness of her people, allowing her to have the basic essentials. Her father died, and the throne was passed on to Edward. He was a young king and only ruled until his 16th birthday. And through a very strange act of Parliament, Lady Jane Grey was said to become queen after Edward died. His uncle, Edward Seymour, wanted a Protestant ruler after Edward, since Mary was very Catholic. However, Mary and her supporters were able to overthrow Lady Jane Grey, and effectively put Mary on the throne. Mary then married a Spanish king and ruled England by herself. This is the first time a queen was able to rule England. Mary had suffered many false pregnancies throughout her reign, one of which ultimately led to her end, passing the throne on to Elizabeth. Elizabeth reigned for 45 years after Mary's death and died at the age of 69, which is considered a very old age at the time. She left the land to her cousin's son and was the one who ended the Tudor dynasty. She had, however, had to kill her cousin, Mary, Queen of Scots. For Mary had ran from Scotland to England begging for sanctuary in the country, and Elizabeth granted her that. However, there was many talks of treason associated with Mary, Queen of Scots, which led Elizabeth, who was paranoid from her time spent in the Tower, send her cousin to the Tower. She was then filed for treason on an act of trying to overthrow the Queen and ultimately beheaded. Elizabeth died a virgin and is the only queen to ever not be married and to rule by herself. She had a few favorites, and some of those favorites were thought to become her husband, one having proposed to her on a Christmas evening. However, Elizabeth denied, saying that she could love no one other than her country.